the Green Heritage Homes project is here to help you make your listed building more energy efficient. If you live in a listed building with cold, drafty single glazed windows, you may have wondered if you could do anything to make them warmer. The good news is there are several options.
I'm Alex Best, I'm one of the conservation officers at Bath and North East Somerset Council. Upgrades to historic windows in listed buildings are one of the most common listed building applications that we see come through for retrofit works.
So we focus on windows for two reasons. One, they are a high source of air leakage loss, and secondarily they are a high source of surface temperature loss.
So there are 4 different options for improving the energy efficiency of your windows. So the first and easiest option would be to draft proof the windows that you already have, which generally won't require listed building consent.
So one of the measures we implemented, which didn't need planning permission, is draft exclusion around the sash windows. So there's brushes on both the internal and external sides of the sash and underneath. As you can hear with the road noise, it can be quite intrusive, but the draft exclusion improves air tightness and it also prevents excess noise penetration.
The second option would be to look at installing secondary glazing. So this can be really minimal, so you can attach it to the existing frames, or you can have a separate frame system installed behind the window if there's enough space.
Secondary glazing can work as well as double glazing, cutting heat loss through the windows by around half, and can work really well where there is still original window fabric that can be kept.
Well, my motivation for getting secondary glazing was that phenomenal hike in our electricity and gas prices. So before we got the secondary glazing, I was very conscious that you could really feel the cold air coming through the glass, and these are quite big panes of glass. The windows themselves could rattle. So the work that was done not only put on the secondary glazing and restored the windows, but also added draft proofing. And I have noticed that despite being a very cold person myself, I've been able to turn the thermostat 2 degrees lower than I've ever run it before. So they clearly are making a difference. So the secondary glazing that we've had installed, I felt, was really sympathetic to these sash windows. It's almost invisible from the inside and it's entirely invisible from the outside. When you look at this house from the outside, you would not know that this was here. But on the inside, we definitely know it's here because it's made such a difference to the temperatures of the rooms. We obviously didn't go for replacement windows because these windows are part of the fabric of this building and they're part of its heritage. Also, we were very conscious that we were very lucky in some places still to have some of the original London glass, which is that glass that's slightly flawed. It's got that sort of slight wobble to it when you look through it, and that gives the house character. When you look at the house from the outside, it's like it has its own face, it has its own expression, and that's through the glass, the glass effect.
A third option, in some cases where windows are not original, can be replacement of whole windows or existing window panes with slim profile double glazing. This can reduce heat loss by around half compared to single glazing.
So what we're looking at here is a slim light double glazed sash window that's been installed into a grade 2 listed building.
So a single glazed panel has a very high energy loss associated with it. So if the outside temperature is sort of -5 degrees and it's 20 degrees in here, the surface temperature of the actual glass could be about 2 degrees. So one would feel that cold. Even a slim light panel such as this, if the surface temperature would be nearer 16 degrees. So that's a huge difference in terms of your appreciation of comfort as well as the energy loss.
So this application was granted consent because what was here originally were not original to the building. So what we had were sash windows that had been installed in the 1970s, so post bomb damage. So there was no historic joinery remaining at all, and there was a really good opportunity here to install something that would improve the thermal efficiency of the building whilst replicating all these traditional details and finishes that would be consistent with the appearance of the building. So with the design of the windows as originally submitted, there was some negotiation in terms of the design. So what we see here, the glazing bars are of a slightly different profile, drawn from existing examples through the house, so from doors and internal glazing panels, and they're actually 3 mil deeper than originally proposed. So it's all about working with the applicant, between the applicant and the case officer, to find the best solution that is ultimately going to be installed.
Recently, slim vacuum glazing has become the most energy efficient option for replacement windows. Heat energy cannot pass across a vacuum, so these windows can be 7 times more efficient than single glazing. Sound cannot pass through a vacuum either, so they are ideal for noisy streets.
The thing that's odd about these windows is that there's no noise coming through them. They look like a single pane of glass. You've got a very narrow pane of glass. It's only 6.1 millimeters thick, but it is in fact 2 panes of glass with a vacuum in between. You've got the shutters here tight against the shutter box, and then the architraves on the inside. So there's no room for additional thickness. This was one of the reasons why we chose this type of double glazed unit. So in order to stop the window imploding, you have little plastic dots that hold it apart. And so there is actually on these windows a very fine grid of dots, which in certain lights appears as a very faint black grid. But once you've had your windows in for 5 minutes, 10 minutes, half an hour a day, you just don't see them. It's one big pane of glass put there. So the glazing bars are actually in 2 parts. You've got the inside part with the mouldings, and then you've got the outside part which would normally be putted, but in this case this is timber, and they are properly joined into the frame. It's not like a stuck-on glazing bar where you're going to get temperature change, you're going to get the glue failing, and you end up with bits of glazing bar hanging off windows. You don't want that at all. A, it looks wrong, and B, it's just bad construction. So the key to this is a good joiner, and a good joiner will actually be able to do the glazing bars effectively in 2 halves. They will look right, and they will give you the lifetime that you need from the windows. Because we had modern windows, we could replace the modern windows. So what you then have to do is to think, how does the replacement affect the character of the building? Is it preserving it, or is it causing it harm? That's the test you look at. In this case, because we were able to get the historic detail right, we could argue that we were not causing harm to the character, the special character of the listed building. So no loss of historic fabric, and it wasn't causing harm. What motivated us to change the windows? That's easy. Every time a cold wind blew, the temperature in the house dropped. And I saw my money going out of the window into the pockets of rapacious companies selling gas and electricity. I think the most striking thing was the noise reduction. Yes, listen to that. In terms of the noise, you can't hear anything. You're in a room, it's perfectly quiet, and this is next to a busy road.
So there are several options for making your windows warmer and more energy efficient. When you are making a listed building consent application or pre-app, it's important to look at the planning history of your building. You might find that your windows have been altered or replaced, or an earlier homeowner may have done some useful research into the building's history that you could include in your heritage statement. Use your local council's planning website to find out more about your home by searching by address. You can also use keywords to see what types of energy efficiency works might have been granted consent in the local area. Please see our website for information and more videos.